Usually, the year should start in a very good and very, very positive way. And my year 2025 started with a banger. But for a very valued colleague, the year 24 ended in a bad way. His father passed away in December. And Konstantin, if you're listening to this, I wish you all the time and the power you and your family will need to get through this very, very difficult time. And I guess I'm speaking for all of us in the wine industry. We are very looking forward to seeing you back on the screen, smiling like your father did, as you told us through your posting. And as I said, my year started with a banger. My first alcohol-free masterclass was a huge success. 4 hours fully packed with information, with knowledge, with insights on the alcohol-free industry. And one of the main topics was the rise of the alcohol-free drinks in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years and the ongoing trend with it. And this is why my 2025 predictions for the categories included the strong growth in the alcohol-free sector. In addition, I would say beer will stay stable, wine will have a slight decline, as already said in the last episode. Spirits will see a low growth, and the RTD section will also see a huge growth, especially in the US, in my opinion. You can read all of this on Instagram in the last post. Let's see what 2025 will bring. Hopefully, all the best for all of us. I'm really looking forward to the year 2025, and right now I'm looking forward to our first weekly update in this year. Have fun! Welcome to the Pinot Pixel podcast episode number 224 on January 4th. 16 days to go until the new president of the United States, Donald Trump, will start working as a president. And what he already told us, all the things he will do on his first day. So it might be a very, very busy day. And one of them is putting on tariffs on Canadian and on Mexican products. And a recent article in the drinks business said that the oversupply of tequila is already an issue in Mexico, but it will get even worse when Trump will introduce his tariffs on Mexican products. And just to give you some background on that, we have talked about this in a former episode. Tequila and the supply and demand works in cycles. And usually this is caused by a growing demand in tequila. And then people start planting the plants for it, the agaves. And after 4 to 5 years, when you can harvest them, there is an oversupply of tequila. So people don't know what to do with all the agaves. So supply is up, demand is down, prices go down into the cellar. Nobody wants to have it again. And then the cycle restarts. And it got even, I won't say worse, but more intense during COVID, because tequila was one of the winner categories during COVID, especially in 2021. It really was a surge for tequila because everybody was forced to stay at home. And what did they drink? Tequila. After people were allowed to go out again, have fun with people in public, we saw a decline in the demand of tequila. People were still drinking it, but there was an oversupply. And right now, tequila is sitting on a huge stock of tequila. And guess what happens when Trump introduces his taxes on tequila and other Mexican products? The supply will stay the same, but the demand will go down. And basically it's not the demand, but people are just not able to buy it, or it's more expensive and fewer people are buying it. So this will even get worse for Mexico and for the tequila industry. And I don't know if tequila or the cycles will ever change, but this is definitely one of the worst moments in history of tequila. And we still don't know if Trump really will introduce his tariffs, but let's say there are enough signs that this will happen. If you're interested in the whole story, the link is in the show notes as usual. And if you're interested in something else that is coming from the United States, there was an article from SiliconValley.com. Will we see new cars having passive alcohol detection systems? And this is not a new thing, but due to the fact that 3 years ago, in December 2021, there was a very heavy accident in the United States where several children were killed through a drunk driver, and they started working on that. And there were several systems right now that are able to detect the alcohol level of a driver. And this system that was presented in that article is super interesting because it combines several systems. On the one hand, there is this breath-based system where you have to breathe into a small pipe or something, and then the sensor recognizes, oh, well, you are allowed or you're not allowed to drive anymore. And then if the system detects that your blood level alcohol is too elevated, the car just doesn't start anymore. And then there is another one that is connected to your steering wheel, where through your skin, infrared sensors measure the blood alcohol level again. So there's a combination of systems, so you can trick one maybe, but you can't trick both at the same time. And this is where it gets interesting and exciting. And if a country sees more and more accidents through drunk driving, this can be a solution. The question is, how expensive is it? How difficult is it to get it? I mean, if I can have this for free, I would definitely use this, even though I have never driven while drinking. But just through the eyes of self-protection and, of course, protecting others that are driving with you or riding with you, this totally makes sense. But I think if you want to have a system like this, it should be obligatory and you should not have to pay for it. So if this is a safety program that is supported by the auto industry, it should be definitely a part of the standard equipment of cars. From the United States to the Arab countries, Saudi Arabia is the host of the World Cup 2034. And there have been many discussions whether alcohol, especially beer drinking, would be allowed in the stadiums. And guess what? Saudi Arabia said, no, it won't. We won't change our rules just for fans sitting in the stadiums. And I mean, it's still almost 10 years to go and things can change. But at the moment, they say, no, beer sales will be banned in stadiums in 2034 as we did it in Qatar 2022. And for me, this is totally fine. We're always talking about respecting the country we're in and stuff like that. And especially when we are in a country that doesn't allow alcohol, why should it be allowed for foreigners then? Especially in stadiums and in events that should be focused on sports and not on drinking. If you're a tourist and you want to drink, there are some places where you can go, but it should not be the official location where you just want to watch a football game, right? And talking about drinking habits, there was a shocking article, for me shocking, on the website of winenews.it. They have a weekly newsletter, which is quite interesting every now and then. They recently announced that Lollobrigida finally has signed the approval, the paper for de-alcoholizing wine in Italy. And this week, they published a statistic on the drinking habits of Italy. And right now, sit down. If you're standing upright at the moment, sit down. 1 out of 2 Italians are wine consumers. This is not a surprise. So 50% of them are wine consumers because it's a wine country. It's a huge part of their culture. But 1 of 4 Italians drink wine occasionally, regularly, meaning up to 2 glasses of wine per day. Okay? 25% of all Italians are drinking 1 or 2 glasses daily, meaning 300 milliliters a day, resulting in 100 liters of wine a year. Okay? And this is what we call moderate drinking. Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine taking 100 bottles out of my cellar, drinking 100 of them in 1 single year? What the hell? I mean, seriously? This is called moderate consumption. And to give you some more shocking facts, almost 4% say that they still drink over half a liter of wine a day. So this is stuff like back in the 70s where countries like France made advertisement, please beware, never drink more than 1 liter of wine a day. I mean, different times, different stories, but isn't it crazy how alcohol is so deeply rooted in our culture, in our society, and especially when you start talking about this, that this could be weird, people are starting to attack you. I mean, it should be fine for everyone to decide whether he or she wants to drink and what he or she wants to drink. Totally fine. But mentioning that 100 liters of wine is crazy annually, I don't know. It feels too much. But I mean, we're just talking about 1/4, 3/4 are drinking less. But in the end, I don't know. I mean, it could be there were no details about the demographic factors behind it, because I would guess that the 25% are more in the Gen X or baby boomers generation, because they grew up with a different type of drinking culture than the younger ones are currently heading towards, like the millennials or the Generation Z, because also in Italy, Generation Z exists and they are not interested in alcohol that much as well. So this is not a surprise. And it was just surprising for me how crazy it is. And we still call this moderate consumption. Think about that. Good news from Italy again. One of my favorite wine styles, Lambrusco. Yes, you heard it right. Lambrusco. And I'm not talking about the red, slightly fizzy, super sweet, gluey stuff, you know, from the Tetra Pak or from the bag-in-box in the supermarket. I'm talking about high quality, usually dry Lambrusco, made of Lambrusco di Sorbara in a very elegant, very good and smooth way. And there are producers, for example, like Patineri, which I know from Garibaldi, and this is just amazing stuff. And usually, if you are working with the DOC, after the wine law, you were allowed to make a rosé or a red sparkling. And right now, they approved a Blanc de Noir from Lambrusco di Sorbara. So right now they can also enter this white sparkling. Sometimes it's Pétillant Naturel, so it's a Pernod Méthode Ancestrale. Sometimes it's also bottle fermented like a champagne. Really interesting styles. And it's good to see that you are also able to make a Blanc de Noir now. So a white sparkling, actually Lambrusco white, which is good because it even helps more to tell a new story about Lambrusco. Because, I mean, the image has changed, and so did Pinot Grigio or Müller-Thurgau in Germany, and it is necessary to change traditions to get younger people more attracted to, in that case, usually higher quality wine. So if you're interested in trying something new, try Lambrusco in a dry way, for example, as a rosé or as a red. You will definitely be surprised. And I have this tasting, one of my favorite tastings, which is called Sushi, Champagne and Friends. And usually there is 1 or 2 different other bottle fermented drinks in it. And sometimes a blinder is a Lambrusco di Sorbara. And every now and then, he is also the winner under the guests. So stay curious and try something new out of this area. While Italy is enjoying wine, the Brits have to wait for their beer because Thieves made off with 35,000 pints of Guinness. 400 kegs that were actually put on a lorry were stolen by some thieves in December. And this is not only bad because 400 kegs were stolen and many restaurants were waiting a little while longer for their Guinness. No, there already has been a shortage of Guinness. We were talking about that. People went crazy on Guinness. Usually it was bigger in Ireland, especially before the holidays. But the Brits got excited about Guinness again, and they shipped the stockage that is usually saved for Ireland to the UK. And right now, 400 kegs have been stolen. And this is bad in so many ways. And right now, more people are waiting for the Guinness again. I mean, it's just a story how popular Guinness became again and how successful 2024 was. It is always sad to hear stuff like this. And right now, some thieves can enjoy several thousand liters of Guinness on their own. Well, I think there's worse in life, but just talking about this thing for the bars, for the restaurants, if you have shortage and you want to have happy customers, this is definitely a bad thing. Well, a crazy thing from the United States that came through Google Trends 2 days ago is, pay attention, a wine in a 3-liter paint can. So you mentioned those cans you can buy in a supermarket or so where you just have paint in it to paint your walls or whatever. And they use this as the packaging for their 3-liter red wine. The 3-liter red wine is offered by Paradox Vineyard, and it sits on the shelf for $48. So $16 a liter. In Germany, you would think it's an expensive wine. I think it's the same for Central Europe in general. In the US, it should be considered to be a good wine. So what I did is I checked the Vivino reviews. And they are just a huge mix of everything. The average points are 3.5, which is basically not bad for an application that judges taste rather than quality. But just reading through them, fit only for use as a cooking wine. This was a bad one. A good one said slightly sweet, fruity, good wine for a get-together. Would appeal to everyone. Good flavor for a sweet wine. Nice wine. Fruity little sweetness. And then the bad ones. Even though this was from my home state, it was a waste time in tasting. Literally, this is not my flavor. Meh, too sweet for my taste, slightly medicinal, a little bit too sweet for my liking, 2 points. If I could rate this wine by giving it 0 stars, I would. Don't buy this for anyone you like. Other ones say great table wine. So it's a big mix actually, but just the idea of using this packaging, it's basically a bag in box, but this is so smart. This is so cool. It catches everyone's attention, and it even makes it to I don't know, newsletters and podcasts like this to talk about. So if you just want to spread the word, do something different. This is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can buy this in Central Europe, but if you're in the US and you're listening to this, have an eye on Paradox Vineyard from Philadelphia, and maybe you can give it a try. I mean, by the descriptions and stuff I just researched on the internet, it should be at least off dry or semi-sweet. So it won't be my style, but this is definitely a wine style. A red off dry wine is something that many Americans like. So it should be suitable for many palates in the US. And last but not least, a short recommendation by myself. 150 years ago, a very popular person in Champagne invented the Brut version. So the dosage, the almost dry-ish version of Champagne. And it was not Veuve Clicquot, Madame Veuve Clicquot. No, it was Madame Pommery. And Pommery was bought by Franken in 2002, I guess, from LVMH. And right now, there is this story, this article on the winesearcher.com talking about this amazing story. And if you like champagne, if you're interested in that story, the link is in the show notes. It is exciting, maybe not as exciting as the story of Madame Veuve Clicquot. So enjoy it. Enjoy the weekend. Have fun with your family and friends. I see you on Wednesday with the next episode. Ciao, ciao.